Yeah,
All
there you go.
right. We are, I was going to say we are live, but we're kind of live, almost live. We will
Yeah.
be live one day. Everyone, welcome back to my channel. All of you that are new, welcome. And today I'm super excited. I was just literally meeting Debbie moments ago in this kind of in person for the very first time. We've been connecting through other friends on different platforms, admiring each other. Well, I know I've been admiring, and it was really, oh, the first time I saw her, and I was sharing this with her just moments ago, that how she leads with love and how she is in service for spirit is really remarkable. And the energy of healing seeps through every pore of this woman's soul. And so watching that, I knew I had to have her on my channel. As a lot of you have known, I stepped away from doing what I actually really started doing on YouTube, which was being in conversation with people, connecting people with other people is a passion of mine. I think there is that likeness already in Debbie that I know that she loves connecting people. And so for those of you that don't know her, this is Debbie Romero. I am so honored to have you on my channel. I want to know, there's so many things that I have heard about you that I would love for you to share. So if you could, just to start, who you are, what you do, would be a great place to get to know you.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. It is a privilege and an honor to be here with you as a guest, first and foremost. Thank you. As I also too have been following you, and spirit knows spirit. And so the love that you embody is also heartfelt on my end. And so um across, different areas and times, you're in Canada, I'm in California, the energy knows energy. And so I do definitely appreciate the time you're taking from your day to have me. And so for your community to open up to the love that we're going to share today is truly, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. So good. Um, I want to know, when did you first become aware of spirit? When was that for you?
As a child, I was already awakened,
Mm,
but many of us have our little dreams and we have our experiences and what we like to call angels or spirit, right? Or just energy of like you feel or you sense and you just don't understand it.
mm.
Full blown in my 20s, when spirit starts walking through the walls and imageries, impressions, and feeling into the psychometry of things, all of those played a part in my awakening.
And how was that for you? Did you have people around you, other adults, other contemporaries that were um, interacting with spirit, called it spirit? Like, what was that? What was the language like? Um, what was that like for you?
Really, I didn't get educated on it. I was born Christian, raised Christian, and then later changed into, I chose to become Catholic. And so with religion, we go into prayer and we
Mm,
pause. And so, you're around many spiritual beings who are just praying for a better day and for help and assistance. And so I was very active in the energy since I was a very young child, but
mm.
never looked at it like I see spirit. They knew that I saw it. They didn't really interact with me or try to educate me with it, because I was also had family members that experienced situations, but they weren't pleasant feelings
Oh,
with them. And so it was kind of like taboo. We don't talk about that. That's not welcomed, or, oh, we were careful. But yet they were also open and very gifted themselves. So
right.
I would say around 15, 14, I found a woman who was a friend of a friend, and she became my spiritual advisor. And so we all have that healer, that kundalini that we go to, and, we go for a read or we go into other practices of forms of love to feel better. And so she was someone that I embraced very young in my life and in my journey when I had harder days or difficult days. And
Mhm.
so her love, her essence is what filled me up in another way of spirituality to look at life differently. Um, in my 20s, I started working in an angel store that was local, and they were didn't know the word medium and just knew that I was, in an angel store and I was sensitive and I could read, and
Mm.
starting to look at the flower of life and the different geometric symbols, and all these things start to awaken you to say, I was always connected this way.
Right.
I was always connected to spirit, whether it would be through art as a child or through drawings, symbolic symbols. We draw hearts as kids, and, different images that come to us. You look at them now as an adult or as an awakened soul, like, I was already talking to spirit then. But it takes a minute to click and to see, you're part of that experience just as much as they're part of yours.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know so many people that are listening can relate to that, where it's like not until in the reflection, and sometimes that minute can be decades and decades until there is that connection, sometimes kind of connecting the dots in that. So the mediumship, because you're a phenomenal medium, when did you actually feel, when did you step into that energy where you were like, I'm a medium, I'm a psychic, I'm a,
Mm. Well, in my 20s, I started reading. So once I was in the energy, then I started going to, we all start to go to the little stores, and we try to look at the crystals in the books, and our body is being driven to like learn more. And so in my 20s, I started to do intuitive angel readings, psychic readings, not realizing that that's what I was doing.
Oh, okay.
And then the mediumship part started when really full on, like, I'm in my power, I'm a medium, this is what's up, right?
Mm.
That would be also, I would say, 15 years ago is where I really was like, this is what I'm doing.
Mm.
I became Reiki attuned, but before I was Reiki attuned, I was in meditation and really, really going into the deeper trance healing for self, and not realizing, I'm working with psychic surgeons and doctors and, different spirit teams that are coming in to assist. And, you're sitting there. I really dedicated myself to get better.
Mm.
So it wasn't so much because I wanted to give a message or because I wanted to feel what spirit was saying to me. It was, I want to understand, how am I connected to spirit?
Mm. I love that energy. That's a very different energy than it makes me think about, sometimes people are, and I'll just speak for me. I was in this moment where, as some of you might be able to relate, in the request might have been a bit of a demand for spirit to give me a sign around something. I can't remember what it was, but I was in this meditation and I was in this energy of like, give me, give me, give me. And one of my guys stepped forward that I was familiar with, and they said, you know, because specifically what I was saying was, come closer, come closer, come closer. And he said, why don't you come closer?
Right.
And I went, oh my goodness. And the shift in that energy of, in that moment, not so much about what you can do for me, but what can I do for you? And the energy that changes just instantly really was a gateway. And people talk about their guides, and I know you really are in tune with your guides. And so I'm curious what you would share with other people that are looking to deepen their connection with their team of guides.
Thank you, Kevin. That is so true. The energy changes. And one
Mhm.
of my beautiful mentors say, as you said, come closer. So we think they're coming into our space, but we also go into their space.
Yeah.
And so it's like that question of, when did you see spirit and when did they see you?
Yeah.
Right. And so as we develop in our journey, many of us have different aspects of how we connect whether first it's through the crystals of the mineral kingdom of the herbs and the medicines and, the plants and connecting to that energy. And then it goes into the animals, the power animals step in, and then the angelic angels step in, the ascended masters step in. So really, we're going into council and galactic teams and doctors and at higher level of ETs or, that intelligence is spirit. And so we all get imageries and visits in ways that we're needing in the moment. And so as we go through the journey within for self and, evolution, there is a time and space of what comes to you is because that's what you're needing. So I don't work with one specific. What I do now is I attune to the energies of the spirits of the intelligence of who wants to share their story. And whether this is your ancestor, your loved one, a team of others, whether we can go to Edgar Casey or Tilsa, who are you connecting and why are we connecting? Gordon Higginson's, there are many beautiful souls that are on the other side that we can connect and learn from in many depths of ways if we allow ourselves to connect. And so depending on where you are and what finds your or sparks your interest is where you're going to go into and give them permission to work with you.
Yeah. I love that energy of the curiosity and the interest around it. That is so often your indication that there is that being mirrored from the spirit side of things. So sometimes when we're in that pushing and trying to force it, it's not to say that it's wrong, but it's a very different energy. So that channel of embracing and really, and I love that, opening up to all of the realms, that beautiful love.
Right. But for those that start, right? So some of us will just start where we want the gatekeeper. Many of us will start to say, oh my God, I got 4 to 5 different souls coming in. So who's your gatekeeper? Is it a guide that you develop, or is it a soul that that has access to the underworld that you're starting to connect to? Is it the Egyptian times that you're diving into? Is it, the goddess energy flow? It's always someone there to help lead you. It's up to your energy of what ignites and calls to work with in the moment. Then you have the messenger, you have a team of messengers, and you got organization, you got teachers, you got chemists, you got the doctors, and you got for me, I've always reached in depending on what I was accessing. And I think this is where we want to put a face to the energies and the vibrations, and not all the time you're going to get the name or the face. You're just going to get the colors, the energies of how it's going to wave in that time. So it's important to believe that the energy and the help is there, even if you don't see it. And so many of us may have the gift to see, and many of us may not have it, but with the intention and the right intention to connect, the work will get done. So you have to trust that you're in the power, and you have to trust that the flow is flowing in the way that that person needs it.
Beautiful. I love that. And I mean, you led right into the next question that I have for you is around the trust. And so if you could share 1 or 2 experiences that you've had with spirit that deeply and profoundly just anchored that trust for you. I'm sure there's many.
Yeah, I think I'll give you an example, and this will also bring forward a way to look at life and knowing that spirit is being led with our work. I walked into a home and I got a psychometry object of a book. I was able to hold the book. I was able to get the impressions of the woman that held the book, all the emotions, all the energy, all the heartache, the energy of the person that the book belonged to. Then I was able to read the book without reading it. I was able to get the details of the information of what was in it and what it was about, what it pertained, and the flashes of how this book can help somebody. And I had to trust spirit to bring in the information, even without a validation. You have to still be able to give what you're getting and just leave it there. However, it resonates with them, it will click in the right time. But the ego, then spirit, I would say, oh my God, I can't believe I just, spirit said, no, we did that. So to trust, they are leading you. I know I didn't do it, but I know that I'm working together as a team. But as we're expressing what comes through, trusting that you're bringing the information is important to not second guess what's coming to you that needs to be shared. Trust it,
Yeah.
honor it.
I love that. Would you go as far to say that spirit just never gets it wrong?
Well, this is important to understand. And I think
Mhm.
this is what Spirit's bringing forward to me right now at this moment
Mm.
is that when we get a message, and if it's not understood, it's going to be received for someone that's listening, or it's also going to be given a different way. Nothing that we say is ever wrong. It's the interpretation of how it's being presented.
Mm.
And so we have to go back and reword it or change it. Would you understand it this way? And so it's giving the opportunity to fill into it differently for the person, but never. So let's say we're going into a mediumship reading and then we're like, oh, I want to acknowledge your mother. But well, I'm sorry, my mother's alive. Yeah, but spirit is acknowledging your mother. So we're not wrong. But
Mm.
because the reader is expecting to do mediumship and have the medium, the soul that's discarnate, it feels immediately, oh my God, I was wrong. It's a mother that's alive that I'm reading. And then you freak out. And so it's important to understand they're not giving you the information wrong.
Right.
It's for them, an acknowledgement of them, even though they're living. So it's honoring all of it.
Mhm. I love that. I love that clarification. Um, you spoke about your power a minute or two ago. How would you identify, describe, locate your power?
Personal power, self power.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's important, one, to understand thyself, right? So when you're looking at power loss, soul readings, your areas of traumas, your area timelines of where we were not in charge or we lost power due to circumstances or situations. In those moments and times, we heal from those moments and we're stronger with those moments of grief. And so if we can step out of grief and we can step back into our power of joy, and of laughter, and of fun. We oftentimes look at power as like I'm winning over someone because people want to have that influence of I'm in charge, I'm inferior. But no, that is not power.
Mm.
The power to live, the power to do it over again, the power to be able to stand into the energy in a different way than you once did. For you, it's important to understand where there is loss, there's also healing. And then you restore that energy of soul work. It allows you to feel the confidence. It allows you to feel into the joy. And it allows you to feel into the love of self.
Mm.
That is power to me.
Well, that is powerful to me. Um, Debbie, how would you define or how do you define and understand healing?
Healing has many layers
Mm.
of our auric field within our etheric web. We hold on to our own stuff and then the information of others. And so if we're going into the physical body, we start first with the soul. For me, I will give you an example for me.
Mm.
When I work on myself, I go to the soul. Then I go to the physical body. Then if you have to take a look, are you emotional today? Are you in your thoughts? Where is your energy speaking to you? And so when you're bringing healing to self, you're allowing the doctors and the healers and the energies to attune your body, your energy field to the healing energies without judgment. We may think I'm feeling an ache and a pain physically.
Mm.
Sometimes there could be some spiritual energy that needs to be moved or emotional energy that needs to be moved. So it's like we're mapping the energy and we're tracing it back where we're thinking it's one way, but it could be connected to a trauma or it could be connected to a situation, a person. And so energy is very real and it has many different ways of allowing our body to recognize something is not right.
Mm.
I have had many personal journeys of where I had to re-heal myself
Mm.
and hold space for self and letting others hold space for me, to nourish myself, to allow someone to nourish me and to hold me and to see me and my vulnerabilities. It's important to be vulnerable, to really be honest with what you're feeling and experiencing, good and the bad. Whether you're talking to a therapist, a friend that's really neutral with how you're feeling, and really being honest with saying, I am not that person today and I cannot be there for you of service.
Mm.
That's power of understanding where you are with your own energies, with yourself, whether it's something physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. You're given the power to change that. Sometimes people can be born in so many different situations where they're out of their control. And this is where you give yourself grace, where you finally get to accept, I'm okay, I cannot do that. This is what I can do today. And there's real power in that, of owning your truth of where you are.
Even in hearing that, it relaxes the body. You know, it takes away the pressure, if you will. What part of our beliefs or our belief systems are connected to healing?
I think too, someone was born in this world. I feel like, I don't know why I get this with you, Kevin, but I feel like physically people are born ill, illnesses that are out of our control.
Yeah.
And if we allow the DNA to change within the body of our blueprint of where the illness stands from, and physically looking at oneself, is it in the blood? Is it in the iron? Is it in the bones? Is it in your organs? Like, we oftentimes have to look at it like some unfortunate circumstances can happen in ways that are not in our control. And so we can do and invite spirit to come in to bring in the deeper healing in those areas. But it brings us to an awareness of like saying, I know that I'm low in iron. I will make sure I take my vitamins, or I will make sure that I will do something differently or not push myself so much further into the task. So understanding and respecting your body when it's talking to you, that is the first and foremost, being effective in the way your body is active or reactive, or how it's responding to your day. So it's very important to honor the healing in the way that spirit wants to bring it in, but also be realistic with what can be done. We want, in this work, we're looking for miracles all the time. And that we have to stay very realistic with honoring the doctors, honoring the medicines, whether Eastern or Western, and honoring how your role is playing in the factor to create the change of better. It's not an easy job, but it's one that some have to live in that way of lifestyle, and daily habits have to be changed in order to create the manifestation of good health. And it's not just meditation, it's just not spirit, it's a full entire circle of what you eat. You think about, as children, we're taught how to balance the emotions, the physical, the air, the sun. There's so much that comes into that plays a factor in how we respond to our body to feel better.
Beautiful. And maybe this is a follow-up to it, but people, we hear it a lot as healers, as people coming for readings. They come to us with their challenges, and sometimes in their deep upset. I hear it a lot, and you've probably heard it, where people they feel like they're stuck or they're blocked, and so they'll use those terms. What has spirit shared with you about that?
If you go into my meditations, I will never say that the energy is blocked. And the reason I say this is because energy is constantly flowing. I don't believe the energy, if you look at the waves, it's moving through everything. If
Mhm.
you're looking at the frequency, it moves through walls. If it can go through electronics and TVs and lights and ways of communication to us in different forms of moving the vibrations, why would you think energy within us is the same? So what I say is residue. It's a residue of darker atoms and molecules that are within our energetic field, and we're dissolving them into a different form. We cannot change what has happened to us, but how
Mhm.
we feed it the love, it changes the energetic form where it doesn't feel so dense or sad or heavy. Or it's, if it comes to the surface and it's moving through you, then you're healing and it's pushing out to create space for new experiences, not taking away the hardships of what you've already
Mhm.
went through, but embodying it in a different way with a new, fresher energy, a sense of understanding, a sense of acceptance. That's the key.
I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. And so my belief system embraced the energy of what you were just sharing. If you go back to any of my videos, I re-language it because we are so powerful. And when we
Yes,
use those types of words, there's an energy that even unattached to us is coming in with it. So in it, it's just, I love your likely your experience, your philosophy, your understanding of that, that um, even in the, in the spirit, of course, in the spirit, but in the 3D, I don't feel that energy can be that blocked. I think it can be underactivated. I think that there is, I love that you using the word the residue of it, but it's to me, I don't want to claim that it's possible to be in a block. And so I love that messaging. And I think a lot of people needed to hear that because a lot of people have declared that they've been blocked. And a lot of people tell people um, that they are blocked. And so I love your energy and the lightness that comes with that.
thank
Um,
you.
I know some
I
people needed to hear that. Mhm.
Yeah. So you look at our body as with the etheric web, with the auric field. It's a web of energy, a chain around us. We're psychic. So all the data sits in the etheric web, right? The ethers, as we would call it. We are all part of that woven energy of the oneness. So what happens is you're impressed with their energies and you could feel the energies that it could also be right in your face that could feel like energetically blocking you or in your energy field. But there's a message in that. There's information in that. And sometimes when we're walking a little heavier because someone is going through something that's challenging, we have to understand that there's a grief there, whether it's an illness or whether it's a shift or whether they're going through a breakup or, a love situation. It's hard for someone to manage a great loss.
Mm.
And so when there's a great loss, we want to feel better immediately. We're not taught how to sit in the sorrow. We're not taught how to sit in the shift of oh, this does not feel good. And we want to immediately change it or shift it. And that's unrealistic.
Mhm.
There's stages that we go through in many waves of understanding and looking at what we just went through in life. And so if we can just give ourselves a moment to pause in the fast world that we live in, whether it's understandable, we're parents and we're mothers, fathers, and we have responsibilities of so many um, life events that we don't take time to try to understand the energies that we're in,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we want to take them out of it, and so I love that, really holding the space for where people are at in that given moment, and nothing more than that. I think is often what people need the most. And so touching on the grief for you, um, can you speak to how grief may have contributed to your spiritual development or understanding?
Yeah, I had a lot of different griefs in my life,
Mm.
and there's so many different events that I had to rebuild myself from. But the latest grief of change of, is the loss of a mother, we'll say.
Mm.
And prior to her passing, there was illness. And so you're grieving the stages of what she went through. I grieved her stages of life. And there are times where, for me, I was the parent and she was the child, or the roles changed. And so when you're not recognized by somebody, or, my mother had dementia or a brain injury, there's grief in that. And there's illness as you watch them go through the stages of somewhat, would say, suffering or changes in that, of how your life used to be. And so my life, I lived for her. And when she passed, before she passed, Spirit gave me the most beautiful gift of different mediums holding space for me to uplift me in the energy of love, of spirit. I knew time was coming, as many of us who can feel into the changes of one before passing. We know, we can see, and we've experienced the energies and the situations. And so my body was going through it, physically, mentally, emotionally. And when we're holding space for someone who is passing, you forget who's holding space for you.
Right.
And so then me going through the grief, I was always so strong to hold space for her. And then once the changes of the energy of acceptance of, thank you, God, I'm a medium and I can feel into her and I'm able to connect to her. But it doesn't change the experience of not physically having her, and your experience of your routines of what you were used to getting up, having coffee, feeding her, making sure she has what she needs, and, being part of her experience and just very much living and being there and holding space. You have to learn how to create new routines, new experiences, and new adventures. And the grief of recreation is a very difficult journey, because then you now have to look at yourself to say, what do you need? How
Mm.
can I help myself? Because you live and you're holding space for others, you forget yourself. And so the gift of grief given me the opportunity to relive in a different way,
Mm.
with strength, realization that I too matter, and that I was going to live for myself and for spirit and for those that I have. But I will never, I'm not going to say never, but I will not teeter in what I need. So there was a growth in that.
Wow. Powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Mm. Mama's love. Why do you think so many people fear death, as so many call it?
You understand the unexplained, the mystery of what happens to the body
Mm.
and what we go through. I feel that we have different deaths.
Mm.
Spiritually, we rebirth all the time. We shed and our body releases. And so some of us in the living can go through a great death of energy, and we're looking into the darkness, into the subconscious. And so if we're going to the subconscious of the heartaches of all the wounds that you're having to look at, it can be scary for some people. The unexplained, what's going to happen to me, who's going to take care of my family, how will they financially make it? There's a lot of earthly attachments that we fear because of the deep love we have for those that are close to us. When you truly learn to detach from everything, you learn that it doesn't matter, because you know in faith that they'll be okay. Nothing is done by accident. When the healing comes in and the energy comes in, sweetness of spirit world will blend with them, giving that quote of gentleness, giving them that energy to feel peace, giving them the energy to feel the love. So if you ever hear some who have near-death experiences, they're not afraid. There were no pain. There was only light and love and energies. When one cannot see that and they're not awakened to that, they don't understand it. But if the mind or the consciousness, the spirit world, the intelligence, you will see how gentle, how loving, how calming, and how beautiful the energies of the other planes can soothe your soul.
Mm.
You also can flow into the bliss of that energy of spirit world. So I think it has to do with the attachments of how we live and the fear of your absence and then not understanding how it's going to feel. That's scary.
Mhm. Well said. Who or what inspires Debbie Romero?
Thank you for asking.
Mhm.
Everyone that I have connected to, every guest, every speaker, every healer, everyone that I have encountered paths with, my listeners, my students, as I watch each and every one of them evolve, as I am fascinated and rise with them in the energies, I get inspired because the spirit world ignites us, feeds our soul, feeds our spirit, but as a community, not just as a one individual,
Mm.
as a whole, we are all uplifted with love.
Mhm.
And that's the gift, to feel the love and the essence of them and for self.
What brings you a sense of hope in these concerning times?
The magic that everyone has embodied, the people are trying to create better homes,
Mm.
better lifestyles, from the foods that they eat to the medicine they take, the tiredness that they feel, their mind is speaking to them, and the intelligence of other spirits are influencing them into a way that is actually a healthier way of living. And so spirit is telling me they're igniting the light to feel better in many. So the hope that they listen to the guidance of spirit, their heart, their mind, their feet, to take action, to move forward, and to continue to make the change I am being told that they are doing.
For those of you, for those of us, or for those of us listening who are not aware of your the offerings that you have, the services that you offer, could you share with us what those are and then how people can connect with you?
Thank you, Kevin.
Mm.
So you could find me on transcendwithdebbie.com. I go live every Wednesday at 11. I am a host on Derek Cora's page, Things Network, Sacred Spiral, Transcend with Debbie YouTube, Facebook. And I believe it was WLTKDB back in the day, but that page is also there. And just showing up to be a service, to hold that light and anchor that love for all that join us. And so that is what I do every Wednesday. I teach on Sundays at 9 o'clock. Everyone is welcome, donation based. I do meditations and I always teach before the meditation. And then also too, I do mentorships, I do Reiki, I hold space for trans energy. mediumship and psychic readings, oracle cards, soul readings, soul retrievals. Those are things I don't advertise, but I do. Hold space in a beautiful way, in the way spirit is led. So
Wow.
that's what I do.
Talk about showing up.
Let's show it up. Let's go.
I love it. If you could, in closing, share, I feel, a healing message from Spirit for all of those listening, what would that be?
Is it important to honor the mind? It is important to connect from mind to mind. It is important to see with the clarity of the thoughts. The actions are good. The memories are just thoughts. The emotions are feelings. Scared you may be. Dive deeper into the wounds of the unknown. Let them ignite the mind to expand the awareness, the love. It's important to love each other physically, hug one another, give each other that additional kiss. Give them memories of joy, understanding that they are seen. Give them the sense that they are appreciated. Give them the love to feel welcomed. Reignite the heart to feel, the mind to know, and the power to stand in the essence of love. Make every day matter for you, and everyone else will feel the droplet in the water. That is the message I get for your community from Spirit.
Bless you. Debbie, thank you so much for being here, for taking
Thank
the time. All of Debbie's information I will link underneath in the description box, so that if you feel called to reach out and connect with her, please do. So many people, everyone that I know that knows you, speaks the utmost. It's hard to put into words. There's just such a deep respect and reverence for the work that you're doing with Spirit. And so I just really appreciate you taking the time, being in this connection, and again, passing that on to other people and being the bridge to Spirit. So Debbie, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Oh, my sweet friend, thank you for your kind words. I'm truly grateful to be able to be here today with you and your team of angels and your community. Privilege. Thank you.
Wonderful. And we will be back. I can't wait to work with Debbie to do some readings. We will come back soon.
Yes.
We're live. And thanks to our friend Jeffrey, who did introduce me to you. So a little shout out to our
shout out Jeffrey.
Jeffrey
Shout
Peck.
out.
We love him. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you again. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye.